20 years ago, I trapped my current husband into marrying me by telling him I was having his child, and that was a lie. As we're dating, there was a time where I end up being pregnant. Not with him, of course, but not by him.
She belongs to the streets.
I end up pregnant. I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. So then I end up getting an abortion by myself, and it was the most horrible visit I've ever done. That moment where I was like, how did I get here? Like, I had this beautiful, wonderful man of God. I am pregnant and I have this abortion. I'm doing all this in secret. It was so heavy that I had to tell him. And when I tell him this last time, he's gonna break up with me. I broke his heart like 8 times.
It's an evil world we live in.
And then this is the last time. I'm like, there's no way he wants me back, ever. And then so we talk, and he said, well, did you ask God for forgiveness? I'm like, I did. Did you forgive yourself? I'm like, I don't know. Well, I love you and I still want you to be my wife.
Come on now, dawg.
That was my moment that I felt God's mercy and grace for the first time ever.
I can see why she thinks she felt the mercy of God, because her boyfriend, despite everything she did, he forgave her, you know. But let me know what you guys will do in this situation. Would you forgive her and leave it up to God, or would you leave the marriage, you know, especially when a kid is involved?
I cheat all the time.
Are you a cheater?
Yeah, repetitively, unfortunately. I get bored. It's not that the
These women need constant stimulation. It's like they love to get on these podcasts and admit that they're cheating and they're disloyal. Look how she looks. If you are around a woman who has long fingernails, who has these bright colored hair and weave and all stuff like that, these extensions, who have a lot of tattoos, they're going to cheat on you. They're going to do you dirty. They have a lot of issues, gauges, piercings. Don't trust those individuals. They're for the streets. They're for recreational use only.
What?
All inclusive, baby. All inclusive, baby. We going to Dubai on week. We going to Dubai. Merry Christmas. We going to Dubai. Look in it. Look in there. The tickets is in there, baby. The tickets is in there. The tickets is in there. We finna be shaking out by like New Year's. The tickets is in there. Look in there. Yeah. Yeah.
What is this?
DNA test report. Yeah. 0% paternity probability. Yeah. Yeah. Our son? Nah, yeah, that's not me. This right here say my son ain't my son. And you ain't even got nothing to explain, because this explained it already. Yeah, matter of fact, no, it's
Oh my god, bro, you can't make any of this shit up. At this point, DNA tests should be mandatory. When you get a kid, make sure you do this. Don't get trapped, guys.
Apparently right now there's a huge debate on whether or not paternity tests should be mandatory. A lot of women are against it, to no surprise whatsoever. A lot of them are saying that they would divorce their husband immediately if he asked them for a paternity test.
20 years ago, I trapped my current husband into marrying me by telling him I was having his child, and that was a lie. So 20 years ago, I was messing around with several men. I was young. My parents always were really strict. I had just moved out and I just wanted to have fun. At the time, I was really into this one guy. He was like the typical bad boy. I knew he wasn't good for me. And at the same time, I was seeing my current husband. He was a nerd, kind and nice. He was the nice guy. I was always messing around with this bad boy. He had tattoos, muscles, everything. At the time, my current husband told me he was a virgin. That same night, we messed around. About a month later, I found out I was pregnant. I had a really strong feeling that the father was Mr. Bad Boy. Given that we had messed around several times and I had only messed around with my current husband one time, I knew my parents would not approve of Mr. Bad Boy, and I knew Mr. Bad Boy was no good for me. I mean, he was broke, and my current husband, he was already making good money. He was going to college. He comes from a wealthy family. Not to mention he was just completely in love with me. So I did what I had to do. I told my parents that Mr. Good Guy had gotten me pregnant, and I told Mr. Good Guy that I was pregnant by his child. My parents and his parents were like, y'all have to get married, and Mr. Good Guy proposed. It was beautiful, pictures, everything. He gave me the most beautiful wedding. A month after my child was born, I went and took him to get a DNA test behind my husband's back. Turns out he was not the father. But I really just couldn't tell him. I really couldn't. He already loved him. He was already like his father anyways. The problem is that bad boy recently found me on Facebook. He sees pictures of me, my husband, and my lifestyle, sends me a message request, and says, "Is that child my child?" I felt sick to my stomach. I replied, "No, of course, I'm not gonna tell him." He says, "There's no way that child is not mine. He looks just like me." And you know what? He does. He looks just like him. The problem is he keeps harassing me. He doesn't let it go. He wants a DNA test. How am I supposed to tell my husband that I lied to him 20 years ago?
First of all, I just want to point this out. You already told him, right? Because you made this video. Somebody who knows you will send this video to him, you know? This is the internet. Second of all, you're in a weird situation right here. So the real father wants a paternity test, but you denied him. And you lied to your husband for 20 years. That's a predicament, guys. That's so bad, so wrong. And the fact that she documented this whole thing and posted it on the internet just makes you wonder, like, you had the courage to tell millions of people on social media, but not your husband. The person who for the last 20 years has been caring for a child is not even his. That's totally crazy. Imagine him finding out through the internet that his whole life has been a lie. That's the kind of shit that turns you to a school shooter. I'm not even joking. But in my opinion, this is why I think paternity tests should be mandatory.
What's your body count?
61. I answered this already.
61.
Yeah.
Maybe your father didn't spend enough time with you. Maybe your mother didn't spend enough time. You didn't get the type of attention from your parents.
What's the worst thing you did to an ex?
I cheated.
Who did you cheat with?
A lot of people.
How many people?
Maybe 4 or 5.
Jesus Christ.
But what's your craziest college confession?
When I hooked up with a guy, and then I went to his best friend the very next week.
What's your body count?
I will not say.
I'm thinking it's probably like 22-ish.
It's not 22. I'm not a whore.
You're not a
You better not. You better just own up to it at this point.
That brings us to the end of the video, and if you want to see more videos like this, a sub to the channel will be fantastic.
I'm done. I no longer have any connection to this world. I'm gonna go home and kill myself. Goodbye, friends.